Good morning. Happy coffee talk. This morning my coffee is extra delicious. It's delicious. It's chilly out today. I was telling you that yesterday, but the weather has shifted now in Washington. At night, it's cool. It's like 50. It's even in the high 40s. It's really, really nice. And so hot coffee in the morning is my favorite. This is the You Make the World a Better Place mug. I love it. And it was given to me as a gift from our Fitme client service manager, Brooke. I think she gave it to me for my birthday a year or two ago, but I love this mug and I'm drinking Black Rifle coffee. So thanks for plugging into Coffee Talk. Again, I keep telling you guys, but lately I've been just getting more and more conversations with you as you're listening to these episodes. I love hearing back from you. And so if an episode hits or makes you think a certain thing, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Like, I would love to hear, what's going on in your mind and, how you're going to use that information to either in your day or, in your life, whatever. I just want to know more about you guys who are listening to this. And if you have a topic that you're like, Christy, will you talk about this particular thing? Send it to me. I would love to. I would love to either answer a question or talk with you about what's going on in your life and talk about it in the context of Coffee Talk. So anyways, thanks for listening. It means a lot. I wanted to talk this morning about people pleasers, because one, I confess I am a people pleaser. I have always been a people pleaser. I like pleasing people. Isn't that the funny thing about being a people pleaser? But many, 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 many women, particularly, but men too, that I talk to, especially that come into Fitme and that are in our program and getting coaching, oftentimes people please to a fault, which means they've come so accustomed to bending and flexing and accommodating that oftentimes they have a difficult time ever stepping outside of that. People pleasing can be a work thing, like where you want to show up and take care of things and show up in a certain kind of way and have everybody know that you're the go-to person. People pleasing might be performance based, like being like the person who does it the best, who shows up, who overachieves. People pleasing might be not rocking the boat. This is the one I'm guilty of, to be honest, where I will be in a room and I hear something and I want to say something, but I don't because I don't want to rock the boat, and I just let it ride when I feel like I should have said something. I hate that. I hate that. People pleasing might also be in your relationships. It might be something where you don't want to step outside of what you've been doing or what accustomed to because you don't want to disappoint, or you don't want to create, again, sort of tension or problems. People pleasing might be around your kids and expectations. Maybe you feel guilty every time you don't do something with them, and the expectation being that you do all the things. And so you want people to know that you can do all the things. And so you do all the things. But when we operate like that, when the motivation is people pleasing or meeting expectations or not letting people down or those kind of things, oftentimes it's very, very, very easy to put off the important pieces of self-care. And self-care is funny because everybody talks about self-care like it's a luxury. Like, oh, don't you need a self-care day? Like, you're so due for it. Like, don't you want to go get a massage or go have a nice walk and a lunch with your friends and have a self-care day? That is not self-care. That is kind of a, nice day you might choose to spend, a relaxed day. Self-care is actually the things that we do on the daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to take care of the vehicle that is our body, mind, and heart. Self-care is more like perpetual maintenance and less like these little presents, one day you get a present and you get to relax. That's not self-care. And so, when we are people pleasers to a fault, we neglect the regular maintenance that we need to do for ourselves, our bodies, our minds, and our hearts, because when we try to please everyone, we cannot usually show up for ourselves that way. And over and over and over again, this is potentially the reason why people are overweight and stay overweight. Maybe the weight came on because of lifestyle decisions, maybe eating out too much, maybe junk food, maybe drinking too much, maybe lack of exercise. All those things are kind of like lifestyle decisions. They're not like people-pleasing decisions. That's typically how weight gain happens. It doesn't happen overnight for most people. It's like this gradual 5 to 10 pounds a year or a season that builds. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, like this is not it. Like I'm 40 pounds overweight. I'm 50 pounds overweight. I need to do something about this. But then it's the try to do something about this where we find the people pleasing can be so problematic, because the I need to do something about this might require that you not stock your house with a bunch of nonsense. Well, if you're a people pleaser and your kids and your teenager, your husband or your spouse or your wife or whatever is saying like, where's my Oreos? And you don't want to rock the boat, it's going to be pretty difficult to make that shift in like how you stock your house. Or maybe you want to go from eating out like 3 or 4 times a week to making it just like one time and having it be a treat, and the rest of the time eat at home, which is a primary lifestyle shift for a lot of people that can help them lose weight. But you get pushback because we're used to going to Buffalo Wild Wings. We're used to going out to, we're used to going to Chick-fil-A. We're used to it. So you get the pushback and you don't want to rock the boat. You want to people please. You don't want to deal with it. You just go with the flow to the detriment of your self-care and maintenance. Let's talk about workouts. It's the same. Like, what if you had to tell your boss that you were going to leave on time? What if you had to leave your desk during lunch so that you could go for a walk? What if you just decided that, hey, I'm going to invest money in joining a gym and I need to tell my family or whatever that I'm going to do this thing, but then you fear that pushback. You fear the like people pleaser in you doesn't want to rock the boat, doesn't want to disrupt anyone else's time. Like you start to justify, I could make this work like this and this and this. And it's the people pleaser in you that's justifying something that you're considering a luxury that should actually be considered a mandatory part of your life. Maintenance and self-care on your physical body, your emotional state, and on your heart is not a luxury. And so when we default to the people pleaser setting, we don't see that clearly. We start to ask, would it be okay if I go to the gym? You know, can you help with this because I need to go to the gym? Like, but we're sorry, we're apologizing for it. Would it be okay if we don't eat out tonight because I would like to eat at home? It's not wrong to ask that. I'm talking about the frame of mind in which we're asking that or we're saying that. We're apologizing to inconvenience other people in our life for doing the minimum level of maintenance and self-care on our body. Is it cool if I just don't go to that social event? I don't want to go. Like, that is okay to say if you don't want to go. But because we're people pleasers, sometimes we go anyway. Oh, I was supposed to volunteer for this thing at church or in my kid's school or whatever, and I didn't want to like let everybody down or people think that I just don't have time for it, so I went ahead and volunteered. But now I have no time during the week to like grocery shop, food prep, or whatever, all based off of people pleasing. So one of my favorite books, I've given you guys a couple books this week, is by Greg McKeown. It's called Essentialism. This is like a Bible to me in some ways because I've returned to it over and over again. But the book is called Essentialism. It's the disciplined art of less, I think the disciplined art of saying no or less but better. And it gives you a lot of help with the language around those boundaries, around saying no, around creating space for yourself. And it doesn't exactly deal with the concept of people pleasing, but it does give you some, tools that you can use if you're trying to create a new normal where you're not constantly overextended and committed to things that you don't want to be committed to. And so, yeah, I mean, again, this coffee talk could end right here, because if all you take away from this is that self-care, one, is not the kind of thing that we've been told, wine date with friends and the spa day. That's not self-care. That's just a fun day. Self-care is the mandatory maintenance that we need to do on our physical bodies, minds, and our hearts in order to take care of this unit, take care of ourselves so that we can show up in our lives at our best. It is not something we need to apologize for. It is not something that we need to negotiate, because when we do that, again, it's not like we have to demand it either, right? There's a middle ground. I'm not the all or nothing girl, but like there's a middle ground in which you create a normal in which self-care and taking care of yourself is your normal. Other people do it. You see them do it. I always make this joke about Dave, who like leaves and goes and takes a 30-minute poop break, and like you feel bad about going for a walk. There are people who don't apologize for doing the self-care things that help them. And so that's where I want you to see is like, what are the things I need to put in place in my life to create a normal, not like normal to other people, but like your regular go-to, this is how I do it. This is how I take care of myself. And if you find that the thing that's holding you back is letting other people down, expectations, causing turmoil, pushback, all of those things, if you're finding that that's the reason that you can't do it, then you are a people pleaser with people pleaser problems. And I've been there. I'm still there half the time. And so in order to, I did this I talked about this the other day on a different episode. I can't remember which one it was, but I wanted you to play out a scenario in your mind of like, if you don't do anything, what would that play out and look like? I think it was about status quo. Like if you don't do anything and you just play out exactly what you currently are doing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, does that lead you to where you want to be? And if the answer is no, then the only person that can do anything about that is you. And so instead, create a new normal routine around how you do self-care, around how you show up for yourself with your food, with your exercise, with your walking, with your, mental boundaries, with how you give space for your heart to feel the things. Like those things are essential. They're not a luxury. So easier said than done. Go do it. It's easier said than done. However, if you're in your mind thinking like this podcast was for me, then start with just one small thing. Pick one thing today that you're like, you know what? Instead of doing this and trying to make everybody else happy, I'm just going to do this and take care of myself so that I can show up as my best self. So let me know if this episode was helpful for you. If it was, shoot me a message on Instagram and let me know. And if you like this episode, do me a huge favor, screen capture it and share it on your story and tag me. And if you're not a part of our Facebook group yet, come on over to Facebook and search Fitme Community. Request to join the group. I will add you. It's a great place for you to get started making some of these changes, feeling like your best self, learning like the daily habits that you need to put into your life, and also having a community of women who can do it with you. And so that's a great place to get started and learn about Fitme and what we're all about. And I'd love to see you in there. So talk to you guys later. Bye.